Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Squid Games. Now, I'm hoping that most of you are familiar with this Netflix TV series. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to necessarily get the reference. And actually, I don't particularly want to describe it too much, not to give away kind of the core of the story, because if you haven't watched it and you are a Netflix subscriber, I don't know if recommend is the right word, but it is certainly interesting. You should probably watch it. Now, when I actually do bring up the puzzle, you will see a bit of a call out for the actual TV show where there is a square, a triangle, what looks like an octagon to me, and you can see them there on the thumbnail, but I'm not going to say any further than that, and I'm just going to jump straight into the puzzle and we'll take a look at what we have in store for today with Squid Game by Will Power. And the following set of rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. That's one. Then we've got the Dutch whispers. I always find them tricky. So Dutch whisper numbers on red lines are at least 4 apart. So if this cell is a 2, then essentially the neighboring cells would have to be 4 or more apart. That could be 6, 7, 8, or 9. Now, it's not the case when it comes to Dutch whisper lines, as German whisper lines, that they oscillate between high and low digits. Because what I can do, for example, is place a 9 in here, place a 5 in there, and then a 1 over here. So essentially, rather than go high, low, high, I'm going high, middle, and then low. And you end up sort of reversing the polarity that is here. So watch out for that when you're trying to solve these Dutch lines. Then we've got killer cages, so numbers in cages sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. Just trying to find an easy one. So if this cell is a 2, for example, this would be a 3 to make sure that these 2 cells add up to 5. These 3 cells add up to 19. These are 4 are 26, etc., etc. Then last but not least, we've got the KROPKI pairs. Numbers with a white dot between them are consecutive, and numbers with a black dot between them are in a ratio of 2 to 1. Not all possible dots are given. I'll explain that in a second, but there's somebody at the door, so apologies. I'm going to pause for a second. Right, pardon me. So, we were talking about KROPKI dots. So, I can only see these as white KROPKI dots and only these, well, I mean, there's a lot more black KROPKI dots, but just only these. So, if this is a 2, essentially this cell has to be consecutive with a 2. So, it'd have to be something like 1 or 3. And then that would be valid. One other thing that they will mention in the rule set is that not all possible dots are given. So if I have a 3 in here, it's totally fine, even though they are consecutive without a white dot. Black dots, on the other hand, have to be in a 2 to 1 ratio. So if that is 3, that would have to be 6 to make sure that essentially one cell is double the other. And that's all the rules we have for today. So as always, if you want to play along, link will be in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. Where am I? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to take notes of the time now, unfortunately, when I hit the pause button. Right, let's have a think about this, because despite walking you through the rules, I'm not entirely sure I know what I'm doing to approach this puzzle. Right. Dutch whispers means that it has to be 4 or more away. And with the exception of 4 and 8, all the others are going to be too close. So if you think about the black KROPKI pairs, 1 and 2, 2 and 4, 3 and 6, and then lastly 4 and 8. Now, which one of these are 4 or more apart? Well, 1, 2 is only a difference of 1, only a difference of 2, only a difference of 3. That's the only one that's a difference of 4. So essentially, we know that all of these on the Dutch whisper lines are 4 8s. With a 4 8 looking at this 14 cage, we know that neither of them are 8, so 6 8 is not possible in this 14 cage, and there's only 2 ways to do that in 2 cells, so this has to be 5 9. I don't know if I'm going to color these, by the way. I may do, but I'm not sure. Just going to keep thinking about it for a second. 26 cage. I'm not even sure I need a 9. 5, 6, 7, 8 is good enough. Yeah. Hmm. 21, 15. Maybe 15 with 4 and 8 down. I'm sure there's still like many, many ways of doing this. 159, 357, 2, 7, 6. It's just so many. It's just like it's not even worth thinking about right now. Right, so I'll tell you one other thing that I am thinking about. And I really was hoping we're not going to go down this route, but I may as well. So I said that Dutch whisper lines do not oscillate between high and lows because I can always have a 5. But obviously, if I have kind of an odd number of cells around the perimeter or around the line, then obviously I need to oscillate. So I need to add a 5. So in this particular case, the fact that I have an even number of cells, and this is all just to think about the problem, I'm not actually implying that this is polarity, by the way. If I am using the 5 and the 1 and the 9 to change direction, so to speak, of the polarity, I will need 2 of them, in essence, to make this successful. Which, to be fair, is not exactly difficult. I could have 9, no. So I can have at most 1, 5 between these, can I? Can I do more? Because I can't have 5 in here. And if I have 5 on row 6, then obviously I can't have anywhere else. So at most there is 1, 5 in here. But obviously there's no interference with the other side of the square. So I could easily have another 5 between these 3 cells. I could have 1, 5, 9 in here, and essentially another 5 in there with 1 or 9 on either side. So entirely possible that this is not absent of 5s. Right? Now, we also know that none of these are 5s because of the 5, 9 at the top of the 14. I am actually tempted, once again, to color the octagonus and see if it's an even number of them. And once again, it is, of cells. So it's the same challenge as the square. If there are 5s, there's an even number of 5s to reverse the polarity twice. I say reverse the polarity. Bear in mind that nothing stops me from doing something like, 9, 9, 5, 9, and entirely preserve the polarity. So I don't even know that I have an even number of 5s on this line. Double check the triangle. Even numbers again. There's clearly something I'm not quite appreciating. This cell is not here, it's not there, it's not there. It's one of these 2 cells. Just not a lot to go on. This was a 1-star difficulty rated puzzle, and normally by now, I'll be off and running. Like, I wouldn't be thinking so hard about this. This cell, it's not in here, it's not in there, it's not in here. So it's inside a 21 cage. And if it's inside a 21 cage, if it's the 4, then the other 2 cells would have to be 17, which at this point is looking impossible because it would need to be 9, 8. So let me show you what I'm thinking. Right, so let's assume for a second this is an 8. And therefore this 4, we know is not here. We know is not here. And we know it's not there. So essentially it places the 4 inside the 21 cage. You take away the 4 from the 21 and you end up with 2 cells remaining that add up to 17, which would have to be 8 and 9, but I've just placed the 8. So long story short, I think that basically guarantees that this is a 4, this is an 8, and this is a 4, and this is an extremely odd break-in. I appreciate that. 4 is not here, 4 is not there, and 4 is not here. It's got to be on one of these 2 cells. Now, I don't think it can be on the Dutch whisper line because the neighbors that are 4 or more away are 8 and 9, and neither of them are available in this box. So that's not a 4, that is a 4. That's 8, that's 4, that's 8, and that's 4. And here's our break-in. Still leaves an 8 inside the 21 cage, mind you. No 8s, no 8s, no 8s. You know, whatever cell is in here was going to be inside the 21 cage. I'm feeling a lot better about the fact I can get to 21 with the 8 rather than the 4. Okay, 4 is none of these. 4 is inside the white KROPKI pair in here. It will probably be helpful at some point. 4 is inside the 5 cage by Sudoku. So this is a 1-4 pair. And then 4, we're left with an X-wing in here. And I think that is all the 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Interesting. 8 is inside a 26 cage. Don't know much more beyond that. This is 8 or 9 and it can't be 8. In fact, I remember how I said earlier that the 4 has to be surrounded by 8 and 9. I've totally ignored that on the Dutch whisper line. So this is 9, this is 9. That gives me, and this is 9 of course. Hello. Wasn't trying to pencil mark, I was actually trying to place in digits. So these are 9s, which makes this 5, which makes this 9. Which, remember the 26 gauge, how I said that it could be, it doesn't have to have a 9? Well, it clearly doesn't anymore. And it must have 5, 6, 7, 8 in here. So this is forced. That's not the 8 though. Now, if I have a 5 in here, that would require a double 1. So it's not really affecting the polarity of the surrounding cells because neither of them could be 9. I don't know if I want to color these lines, by the way, but I'm going to. And obviously there's no 5 in here, so I'm going to be constantly oscillating in this case. Oscillating, oscillating. Now, obviously I can have a 5 here, but I can't have a 1 or 9 there. So that can't be 5, so that has to be a low digit. This couldn't be a 5 either, because this can't be 1 or 9. So that's back to high. This can't be a 5 because it can't be 1 or 9. In fact, the rest of this. So this is all oscillating steadily here. I'm just actually going to see if I'm going to use this around. Now, because the 5's already in here, we know that's a low digit. We don't know if that's like 1, 5, and 9, for example. So we don't know in this particular case. Okay. Let's use the polarities. This is 2 or 3. To be 5 or more away, this is 6, 7, or 8. 8 is still possible and available. This is not 1 or 4, this is 2 or 3. This is still 6, 7. It's not 8 or 9. It also doesn't rule out a 3 because 7 is also 4 or more away. Then in here, we need a low digit that is 1, 2, or 3 because that's not 4. And then that is the same logic in here, 1, 2, or 3. This is 6 or 7. And this is another 1, 2, or 3. Interesting. Now the 9 cage, sorry, the 12 cage doesn't include a 9, doesn't include an 8. So this is known, this is 5, 7. And I kind of ignored this 19 cage. So if this is 8, this is 2. If this is 7, this is 3, because essentially these two cells have to add up to 10 plus the 9. 6 is not an option anymore. Essentially all of these are 1, 2, 3. I mean, like, it's not worth pencil marking. There needs to be a 9 somewhere in row 3, so there's a 9 in here. This is the 6 or 7. No. It's not 7, but it can be 6, and it can be the low digit of 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm not going to pencil mark that. Yeah, no, I can. It can't be the low digit because the 9 has to be consecutive with a low digit. And it's not 6 or 7. 6 or 7 is not 4 or more away. So it would have to be the low digit is in here, 1, 2, 3, 9. And this is 6 or 7, but it's not 7. So that's 6, that's 7. That leaves the possibility of 3 alive for both of these. None of these are 7s anymore. However, this is a 7. So with the 9 outside of the 21 cage, I'm kind of starting to think, yeah, this is forced. This is 6, 7, 8. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get to 21 in 3 cells. So that's 6. Sorry, that's 7 because of this 7. And this is 6, 8. Six looks across. That's a 6. Then in here is another 1, 2, 3 with a definite 1. This is another 1, 2, 3. So that's a 1, 2, 3 triplet. I should be able to place a 5 in here. And then I have another 2 sets of 1, 2, 3. The lack of a 5 on this side and here basically means I preserve the polarity, which I kind of ignored earlier, all the way through to here. There's still possibility of a 5 there, so we'll come back to that. Although, like, I think I'm running out of space at this point because I always needed 2 if I'm reversing the polarity. And because that can't be 5, and I can't have a double 1 in here, yeah, this is all forced. Okay, so 4, 8, 9, and another 1, 2, 3. And remember, 4s are surrounded by 8 9s. That's 9. I didn't use the fact that the 4s are surrounded by 8 9s anywhere near enough, to be fair. This is 1, 2, 3. This is not a 9. So, or 8. So this is 6 or 7. And this is a low digit that is not 4, 1, 2, 3. We already said these are 1, 2, 3s, but it does give me a 1, 2, 3. Come on, sleuth. That was there for a while. So all of the low digits are done. This is not an 8. And essentially I've got another 5, 6, 7 and a 9 somewhere in here. That's the 9 just because of Sudoku. This is another 5, 6, 7. Can this be 5? That can't be 9. This can be. So we'll be a bit more careful there. Fantastic puzzle. Not 1 because of this pencil mark. Still can have a double 1 with a 5 in here, so right, with all of these pencil marks, I know that there is a 6 and 7 in here. That's probably enough. That is 2, 6, 7 to get to 15, and therefore no 2's in here, and therefore this is a 2. That's not a 2 either. At this point, we've used, actually here's a 7. I was going to say we've used all of the cages. Not quite true, very nearly true. And then these 3 cells are known. They are 3, 5, and 7, I'm going to say. Got 4 more cells that we do know about. We know that these two are 8. So the remaining cells are 1, 5, 6, 8. And aside from the 8 that we can remove from here, the rest of it is not particularly known. Doesn't give me a triple. It's very nearly doing something. Triple, quadruple, quintuple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I think I've covered all my remaining cells, haven't I? 1, 3, 5, 6, 7. No, it is a quintuple. And therefore there's a loose digit in here, which is the 2. And therefore this has to be a 3. There's nowhere else. That's a 1. And then this is, no. For a second I was going to say this is the only one that's 7. That's not true. This 1, however, means that this is a 2-3 pair. 6 is not far enough from the 2. So this is 7. That's 5. That's 7. And this is a 1-6 pair down here. And this is a 5-8 pair in here. That's not a 5 or 7. That's just a 6. That 2 gave me the 3 and 2. I don't know how I managed to not see that earlier. And this is just a 4. No, it's a 5, excuse me. Not a 5. I mean, once I added a 2, it was always not going to be a 5. This can still be 1, this can, and this is 2, so this can still be 6. It's not forcing anything either. This is not 1, but it can be 9. This is not 9, but it can be 1. So, don't know about the 5 in here. 6, however, gave me 7 and 5. This is a 2 because I've got a 1-3 pair. That is forced now. That has to be 1. Because it's 1 or 9 next to the 5s, and this is not 9. And this is not 1, that's 9. This has to be a low digit from the 1 and 6 options. And this time I do need another 5 somewhere in here to reverse it once again. Very possible next to, no, hang on. If I put a 5 in here, I can't place a 9. And I need something different to reverse it. Have I broken the puzzle? No, because I could do something like 9, 5, 1, and that would work, right? This is a 6, 7 pair, so this is a high digit. This has to be a low digit. 6 and 7 require a low digit next to it. Can't be 5. And yeah, I think it's going to have to be 1, 5, 9 to allow me to basically reverse the polarity one more time to be able to continue this. So I'm going to not complete it just yet and kind of see how this shakes out. All of these are low digits. No 5s in any of these. That's the 5. That's 4. That's 3. Therefore, that's 2. This is 1 or 3. Fairly sure it's 1 because of what we described earlier. That's not 2. That's a 6, 7 pair. That's not a 7. That means this is 3, 5. And again, fairly sure. I mean, clearly, how do I make sure that these two cells are consecutive on a Dutch whisper line? That is 1. That is 5. That has to be the 9. There you go. 3. Both are available next to 1 and 2, so don't know. No 3s. I've made a mistake here. It's not 5s. 9s. No. 2s, excuse me. 5, 7, 5. 6, 7, 6, 4. I need 3 and 8, it seems. 3 is in here. 8 is in there. That's 2, that's 8, that's 2, that's 7. This is 6, this is 8. This is now known 1 and 3, 1 and 3, 6 and 8, and a bit of Sudoku to wrap up. 1, 3, 5, and if I've not made any other silly mistakes, 6 for the finish. phenomenal puzzle. Willpower deserves far more attention than it's received so far, but what a phenomenal puzzle. Hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. Aside from kind of a bit of silliness with Sudoku there, I think reasonably smooth solve. And I'll see you back for the next one. Bye bye for now.